questions occasionally about things related to rod building, and while I'm not an expert, I've been doing it long enough that I know a few things that might help people out as they're getting started. A few of the questions I've got here recently were about trim bands. So I'm going to show you 3 different scenarios. The first being installing a trim band on the rear side of the guide wrap towards the ring of the guide. So I'm going to show you how to do that, or at least a way that I do it. There's other ways of doing these things. The second case being that you've already done your wrap and you decide that you want a trim band on the front side of the guide wrap. This happens a lot to people that are just getting started. You're not real sure how things are going to look. You go through all the trouble of wrapping a guide and then you decide you wanted to add something to it. So that's real common. It's something I ran into myself when I was first getting started. So I'm going to show you how you can install a trim band in 2 different ways on the front side of the guide wrap after you've already done your wrap. One of the ways involves doing a single wrap trim band, and that's something that's really difficult to do, but I'll show you a way that you can do it and you'll usually get it to come out looking pretty decent. The way I prefer to install a trim band on the rear side of the guide wrap is to go ahead and end my main color. I'll put in a pull through loop and go ahead and cut it off and pull it back through like you would any normal wrap, and I just terminate my main color right there where I want it. And really at that point all I do is just come back in and do a wrap behind that the same way you do any other wrap with my trim color. Now if you were going to do this and you needed a specific number of trim wraps on that rear side, what you might want to do is wrap the rear end of the guide wrap first. Put in the number of turns you want and pull it back through, and then wrap up to that with your main color from the front side going back. That would allow you to get the exact number of turns you wanted on it. If you're just doing it by size, you're not so concerned about how many turns are on it, then it's fine just to stop at the length that you want and wrap like I'm showing here. I hope all that makes sense. If it doesn't, just leave a comment below and I'll try to clarify that. A lot of the ways trim bands are done kind of compromises some of the structural strength of that section of the wrap, which usually is not a problem because it's before the main guide wrap itself. In my opinion, if you're wrapping the rear side of the guide wrap in the same way that you're wrapping the front side under similar tension of the thread, I really don't see where that would cause any structural problems with the wrap. There should be a similar type of strength in that wrap as there is in a continuous wrap all the way up the guide. Now let's just say that you have done your guide wrap, whether it's a continual wrap or if you've put a trim band on the rear side, and you decide that you want something in the front side of that guide wrap to accent it. You want to put a trim band there, but you didn't plan for it in advance. Like I said earlier, that's something that's real common, I think, in a lot of people that are just getting started building rods. And I know I did it myself and went in and added trim bands later. And this is how I did that. I basically did the same thing on the front side as I just showed you on the rear side. My wrap's already in place. I'll wrap in front of the existing wrap, with the difference being I insert the pull through as I'm getting this wrap started. If you will tape the pull through loop down in place, it'll hold it for you as you get your wrap started. Inserting the pull through loop at the very beginning of this wrap is a handy little trick, which kind of does 2 things for you. It leaves the wrap a little looser so that you can actually move it around some as you need to, which is real handy. If you need to push it back some to give you more space to put in more wraps, you can do that. Or you can push it forward some to get it to butt up against your existing wrap. And on the front side, I don't use as much tension either. That way the threads are, again, just a little looser, so I can move that whole wrap around if I need to. And by putting the pull-through loop at the beginning of the wrap, since it's a trim band, it's going to be a shorter wrap. That helps still, I think. It gives you a little more space to pull that tag in through and pull it under all the other threads so it doesn't show. And that's how I put in a trim band after the fact. Now I'm going to show you how I do a single wrap trim band after the fact. And this isn't an ideal way to do this. You definitely want to plan in advance for something as small as a single wrap trim band. But occasionally it comes up and you decide you want to throw a little metallic single wrap band at the beginning of the wrap. This is a way that you can do that, and you can usually get it to come out looking good. All I'm going to use for this is just a piece of thread and a drop of super glue and a plastic toothpick. And I recommend a plastic toothpick because it won't try to absorb the super glue before you can put it down. The super glue will just kind of float on the plastic. So if you'll put a drop of super glue on something, I'm using a lid here, and take that plastic toothpick and dip it in it and just touch it to the rod on the side where you want your pull throughs and things like that to show. There's usually a good side and a bad side of a rod. The bad side would be the side that's down while you're fishing. So on a spinning rod, the down side would be the side that is where the guides are attached. On a casting rod, it would be on the exact opposite. It would be below the guides. And you usually want to put things you want to hide on that side because it's not as visible. So I'm going to touch the drop of super glue where I'd want my tags at. Then you just wrap the thread around the blank and slide it into position and pull it down tight into that super glue, and then just leave it to dry. Once it's dried, you come back and trim off your tag ends with a razor blade, and once you epoxy over everything, it won't look too bad, really. This isn't the best way to do this. Of course, if you planned in advance, you could pull the tag ends of that single band through underneath the main color. But if you didn't plan it out in advance and you want to do something like this will definitely work. It's just not quite as neat looking